In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a general risk assessment. This is a template you're going to use alongside another template, for example, asbestos survey or fire risk assessment, just to generally record risks about the job. And the idea behind this is you want to keep your staff safe, record anything that could be an issue, also any working procedures or steps you've taken to mitigate those risks. So first of all, let's take a look at the report, and then I'm going to show you how this works. So let's jump over to this page here. And you can see here's our risk assessment that we've already created. You can see where the job took place, the client, project address, and so on. Also who was on site, the site visit dates. There'd be multiple, of course, if this was a multi-day job. Then we have some basic information around permits, emergency equipment, and so on. This is all fully customizable, by the way. If you wanted your own sections added in here, that's easy enough to do. So next we've got the sign-off. This has been signed off by myself as the lead analyst. Here's my signature, and this was the date that I signed it off. And on this template, we have some light branding here on the cover page. Of course, this would have your logo, contact details, and so on. So next we have the risk assessment. And this is everything that's been considered, all the different risks that have been looked at. The left-hand side shows the hazard along with the risk at the beginning. Then you can see any details or perhaps working procedures that were followed in order to mitigate this risk. And the new risk level is the risk at the end. So after all this has been taken into account. So typically this is what you'd see. Maybe something would go from a high risk to a medium or a low risk if you're able to do something about it. For example, if there's some noise risks, if you wear good ear protection, then that risk is going to be mitigated down to perhaps a low. So this is how the report looks. You can also see we have some general checks here. So, these are things that you just want to be able to tick off on every single job. So, have you got the required equipment? Is the weather suitable? Have you advised the relevant people you're on site? And have you implemented some controls to eliminate the risk? So again, this is fully customizable, but you can see in this case, they've all been marked as yes. And then we have some general comments. This is a great place just to put any sort of catch-all information. So let's have a look at how you'd collect data for this type of report. I'm going to go over to the mobile app and I'm going to add a new report here. I'm going to select the risk assessment V3. Now the first couple of sections are pretty self-explanatory. Put some information about the job details. Is it residential, commercial, industrial? And along with the service, this has some pre-filled information. You might be doing different types of work, in which case we would customize this to your types of work, of course. Next is we have the site information. So this is just some general information about permits and so on. Any information you want to capture for every job. So if you have a different set of questions, please send those to us and we'll make sure we customize this. It's worth mentioning that some of our clients like to combine their risk assessment template with a method statement of some description. So if that was your preference too, we could create some new sections for you to do that. Or we could customize some of these existing forms to add some new fields for the information you need to capture. So let's go back out to this screen and then we get onto the on-site risk assessment. This is where the individual checks are going to happen. So we have what's called a preset within this template. I'm going to add my risks using the standard risk assessment preset. You can see there's 21 things that are going to be added here. So let's click this button. And it's added all of these in one go. You'll notice it's also highlighted each hazard in red, and that's just telling us there's something to do. So if we were to go into the asbestos one, perhaps we've identified this as a high risk, and we're going to follow some in-house contractor guidelines. The new risk level, therefore, is a low. So you can see, we can optionally put some comments in, working procedures, of course, as well. As soon as we save this, you'll see that highlighting will be removed. So we know we've looked at this risk, we've considered it. Now it's time to look at the next one, which is biological hazards. Maybe this one is a low, and it's a low at the end. And we've followed the in-house procedures here. So you just work your way through these risks. If something doesn't apply, you can either mark it as not applicable. So for example, let's say there's no chemical hazard issues here. We could say not applicable, like so. Alternatively, if you didn't want this to appear in the report, you could actually swipe to the left to delete this. So let's have a look at how this report actually will look in both cases. So if I jump into this one, I'm going to take a little peek at that report. So we're going to say confined spaces is not applicable. Not applicable. And you can see that it still appears on the report just with this NA. Now, if I didn't want confined spaces to appear, like I say, I would just delete this. And now it doesn't appear on the report. So if you did want it to appear there, just to show that it's been considered, then use the NA option. Or if you want to remove it entirely, you just swipe to the left. So you would continue on in the same way, building up the risk assessment as you go. Now, these presets can also be customized. So if you have different risks for perhaps different jobs or different building types, we can create presets for you to save you from having to enter them every single time. So that's something that we can do, and this could have several presets that you just quickly select depending on the type of work that you're doing. Alternatively, you can just add an individual item if there's a hazard which maybe hasn't been included in the preset, or something that's really specific to this job that you're working on. You can just type your own here as well. You see, so you can do it this way and then fill this in, and that will get added to the list, like you can see. I'm going to delete this one, head back up to this screen, and then finally I just want to show you these general checks. So what we have here is what we saw before, those things that you're just going to mark off on every single job. So do you have the right equipment? Is the weather suitable? Have you advised all the right people? And have you implemented the controls to eliminate the risks? And then we have those general comments I was talking about as well. So if you had different checks that you like to carry out, we could create new yes/no buttons for each one just to allow you to quickly mark those off. And as I say, they will appear here at the bottom. If they're unanswered, as they are now, we haven't saved it yet, then they will show TBC. So as soon as I save this, then these are going to change to yes and no as expected. So this template is very helpful if you want to keep your staff safe, just to make sure they're considering all the risks when they survey a building. And also if you had some limitations, perhaps you couldn't access a certain part of the building, this is going to explain to your client exactly why that was the case. So it's great for having that audit history of why things have happened in a certain way. So perhaps there was unsafe scaffolding or something, means you couldn't access the roof. You know, that's going to be documented here. So I hope this has been a helpful video. Like I say, all of this is fully customizable. If you're an existing Flow Mobile surveying client and you want access to this template, please get in touch and we'll add it to your account. If you're not a Flow Mobile surveying customer and you want to be, please get in touch for a demo and we'd be happy to show you what's what. Hope you're having a good day. All the best. Bye-bye.